That's your Command Today, Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video, guys. I'm happy to be joined by Chosen. It has been a minute since we collab. Chosen, how you been, dude?
Hey, what's up, man? It's good to be over here on your channel and hanging out with you again. Yeah, I got busy there for a few months and adjusting to a new workflow, working on game design over there with Fateless. That's a lot of fun.
Derek, it's not his fault.
But I had to adjust kind of the upload schedule and all that, but I'm getting back to normal. And after the trip to GDC this weekend, heading into California, after that, should be back to daily uploads and be able to get back to the grind here.
It's been a pleasure working with you on Fateless. Very excited for the future there. But today we are here to talk about, you just released this dopamine index. We did a collab on your channel. We talked about these rankings here, who I agree with, who I disagree with. Some of these, I think you're a little crazy. But I totally kid, man. I love this, and this is the beauty of the game to me, is talking about, you know, champions you agree with, champions you disagree with, and then also like talking somebody into a champion, like, nah, this is what you're not seeing about this champion or whatever, you know? So that's what we're gonna do today. We have your dopamine index. Now this is, I mean, it says it right there, only includes champions that can be pulled from shards, assumes you're adding the first copy to a champion onto your account. So kind of like, I treat it as kind of like the old fresh account, who you choosing first out of all the champions that you can pull from a shard in the game, right?
Yeah, kind of. And you know, there's no perfect way to do this. But I was just kind of trying to think, like, you know, a list that someone could have pulled up while they're pulling shards, if they're an early game to mid game player,
to know if they should be excited about it. Yeah.
Basically like and I got the idea doing this on a collab that I did working with Amazon Prime, and they had me walk a couple creators through learning the game for like a 6-month series, and they were constantly like, hey, I pulled so-and-so, how excited should I be? And you know, so I kind of got the idea of like, well, out of the champions that are only available in shards, like for example, you won't see Ninja on this list because you can't pull him from a shard, UDK.
Archer Queen.
So it's like something to have up is like, okay, I pulled this champion, how excited should I be? What's my dopamine level?
Okay.
I've been trying to organize a boycott of Sal's famous, you know what I'm saying? Sal, we're gonna boycott your fat pasta ass.
I like that, man. I like that. It's a cool use case for a tier list. Your tier list actually has a little bit of utility for folks out there, which is nice. All right, so I want to actually start with your number one, who I disagreed with, not strongly, before people roast the hell out of me in the comments for this one. Tell us why you put Sify the Lost Bride as the number one champion out there.
Yeah, I think the main reason is like, if Plarium were doing a promotion where we could start a new account and pick any champion, for me to start that account, it would probably be Sify, because she's going to be easier to book and develop than a Mythical. She may not be the strongest champion in the game compared to some Mythicals in a vacuum where everything's maxed. But if you let me just pick anything to start a new account with, I'm going with Sify. And I could be a little bit biased because I don't have a Sify. I'm like one of the only content creators that doesn't have her.
Oh man,
and I've been talking about it for forever. And every time I get clapped by her in live arena and tag team, I'm just like, I hate this so much. I wish I had one. I have a +2 Rotos. If I had my Sify to pair with it, it would just make my account so much easier. So I could be a little bit biased and overrating her a little bit, but she just seems like such an insane champion to have on your account.
Nah, man, I'm splitting hairs because obviously Sify's one of the GOATs in the game, and I mentioned this on your channel too, and I'll mention it again, but like, the thing that I hold against Sify, and this is so crazy to be talking about here, but whatever, dude. Like, I love sharing a good controversial opinion, right? I think a lot of people would agree with you, I think, but you know, this is a while back, but when they nerfed her A2 from to a 4-turn cooldown, right, when booked, instead of a 3-turn cooldown, I would have had her as my number one before that, right? And I know it's unfair to hold a nerf that was years ago against a champion, but we're talking about the best of the best of the best. And for me, that 4-turn cooldown on all those essential buffs that she brings in PvE limits her just a tiny bit, just compared to like some of the, to your point, Mythicals and best other champions in the game. That all being said, I'm really splitting hairs because she's definitely be like in my top 5, but not my number one.
You are lowering my dopamine levels.
I'm probably like not the only guy out there, but I'm probably one of the only people out there that would in a vacuum take Duchess over Sify. Do you think I'm crazy?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Obviously you do, a little bit.
Oh, no, I have Duchess at 10th, so I still have Duchess
you
at
do? No, yeah.
So Duchess obviously would be an amazing choice to start a new account with. But I think Sify being a void legendary,
Sure.
and having one of the better tandems in the game, Siphi and Rotos.
Yep.
And Rotos is a little bit more realistic. If they were both voids, maybe not, but Rotos is a non-void. So because of those factors, I would probably take Siphi over Duchess. But obviously, if you start an account with Duchess, you're in a good spot.
Absolutely. And Duchess would not be my number one, though. I'm just saying that, like, I'm one of those people. I'm a Duchess guy. I like her AoE revive better than the single target revive. I love the perfect veil and the damage mitigation and how it synergizes with her passive, like from AoE attacks. It's just like next level support. And so I just like, I like that about Duchess personally, but Siphi's again, to your point, Siphi's amazing as well.
Well,
My
Duchess
number
is
one,
better.
yeah.
Duchess is better against like nukes because she's gonna lessen the burst damage, but they both kind of accomplish the same thing. Like Siphi heals with her passive, right? I don't have her, but she
Sure.
heals every turn. So
Yeah.
they both kind of get passive sustain. But Duchess better versus nukes, Siphi better in like a long defensive battle, maybe.
Yeah, no, I'm like, again, it's hard to argue, but I like Duchess better in Hydra and just generally better in PvE. Personally, I like her better, or I use her more, I guess is a better way to say it, because I have both, right? And in the arena, I have Siphi and Rotos. Very lucky, or awesome. They're amazing. But I find myself actually gravitating a bit more towards my Duchess, but that has to do with a lot of factors like my build and my other champions and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, enough of the Siphi. My number one choice would actually be, I think I would go with Star Sage Galathyr. Or Lazarus, or Lazar the Lizard. I would go with one of those. I hear you loud and clear, though, about the mythical skill tomes, especially if I wasn't going to spend, if I was going to be like a free-to-play. Like, maybe I'll see it in a year, you know, with a fully booked one mythical, right? But I still think their kits are so incredibly good. And even the skill tomes, this is, again, kind of a maybe weird opinion, but I think they're maybe a little bit less important on mythicals because you can metamorph them and get to a whole nother set of skills, even if the cooldowns aren't fully booked up, you know? So all that being said, I would go Star Sage. I think Star Sage, man. I mean, do you have any mythicals, dude?
Nope, no mythicals yet.
Okay. I would go, I mean, he's got the cleanse, he's got the revive, he's got the perfect veil, he's got the, I mean, whatever, I could go on and on. He's got AoEs on his A1, he's got block active skills, he's got increased act. I mean, he's unbelievable. Star Sage is, we talked about this on your channel too, so I don't want to I want my viewers to go check that channel, that video out, excuse me, but what they've been doing with these mythicals lately, dude, is like, it's power creep and it's huge. It's huge, I feel like. You know, the best mythicals now, I feel like there's actually starting to be, and every one they release, what seems like every month, dude, it feels like they just get better and better and better and better, you know? So I think that Alaz the Sunbearer, I know a lot of like high-end end game PvP players are not really feeling Alaz that much, but I do. He might be my number.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Sure.
So anyway, I'm hemming and hawing here, bro. But the Lizard, Star Sage, and Alaz, it'd be one of those three. Maybe even Crixia, because I love her so much in that conversation. I would go Mythical.
Yeah, Star Sage is completely ridiculous. Doesn't he have like the AoE A1 that gives constant turn meter to everybody? And he's got
insane.
He's got like 20 something thousand base HP with a heal that scales off his HP, and he's got one of the best base speeds in the game to help you scale turn meter. So yeah, I mean, like in a vacuum, I might pick him. You know, if I wasn't taking into consideration like spending and booking and new account and stuff like that, you're not crazy.
Okay, fair enough. My other big outliers from you, right, which we discuss a lot of them in your video, and we talk about this too in your video, but like it's easy to pick outliers. It's more difficult to pick like who would you move all the way down to make room for that champion. But quickly to touch on them, Marichka, again, you said that you didn't call me crazy, but you think that most people would strongly disagree based on account value and stuff like that. But I have Marichka over Taurus personally. And you have Taurus number 6 and Marichka number 13. I would flip-flop those two almost exactly where they are on the list. Maybe Taurus, I'd sneak him somewhere in the top 10. Maybe I move Kymar a little bit down and Androck down as well. And this is something that I got wrong in your video, dude.
Watch yourself. Don't spoil anything.
I originally was like, Androck is number 1. He's the Enfeeble, the AoE 100% Enfeeble champion. But then I missed in Raid Digest, they said that they are nerfing big time in Feeble. AKA, it can't be used on any bosses. Like, oh damn, man, that's a big nerf, you know.
And before I released this list or finalized it, I had Androck #1 for a while. Like when I started the list, I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna put Androck #1, and we're done with that. But then they did the change to the Enfeeble, and I was like, okay, I'll move him down a little bit. He's still S+, but I did actually have him above Siffy before that.
It's interesting, and then we get into your. What do you think about Toronto Rock at 44? She's another one of my faves. Like, what do you think about her? Like,
yeah,
you know, so under Aislinn, for example, you know.
Yeah, all the champions top 60, 70 are amazing. And I use Toronto Rock and like my best Hydra comp. She's awesome. You know, I feel like she's fallen down a little bit in the last year. I feel like a year ago, she's probably top 35, but the game's evolved to a point. There's just so much more power and more answers now that maybe a general utility champion like a Venus and a Tahana Rock and Draco Morph and some of those champions start to fall down a little bit. Okay.
No, I'm splitting hairs here. I think it's a reasonable spot for her, but just like I'm gonna pick out a few that I would have a little bit higher or lower, and you can tell me if you're like, okay, I can see that, or you're like, nah, I think that's right. That's right there. So I want to start with Baron, right? I am a dirty, disgusting Kraken pay to winner, and I have a +4 Baron, almost fully awakened, and I
already hate you.
Yeah, thank you. It's okay. Join the club. But the thing about it is, like, I don't have him that high on my list, I guess is what I'm saying, right? At 30. I would put him lower. I think that Baron is one of the dopest freaking champions in the game. I actually probably use him more for his A1 and just clearing wave content than I do in the arena. But in the arena, just in the meta right now, you know, I don't think he's as high as even like a Sun Wukong I would rather have over a Baron. Even factoring in, I would rather have a Helikath. I would probably rather have a Trunda. No, not probably. I would definitely rather have a Trunda just for what she can do in Hydra, right? So talk to me a little bit about Baron. Why the Baron love chosen?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on what you're saying. I believe when I was working on this, I did have Baron a little bit lower, and then some of the people I was working with on this talked me into moving him up a little bit because it was like, if Baron takes a turn, you're dead. Like, like he just nukes you down, and he's so good at blasting through PvE content and getting those speed runs going and like Doom Tower and stuff. And I was like, okay, I could see that, but no, I don't think you're crazy. I could get behind Baron being somewhere around 40, 44, something like that.
Okay, cool. Who else would I have? I would probably have Krokmar a bit lower, Mashald a bit lower.
One that could be a hot take is Krisk down at 43.
That's true.
I feel like Krisk, 2 years ago he'd have been top 5.
You're right. You know what? That's a good call out there. What do you got? How do you, my lovely viewers, how do you feel about Krisk? Because that's low, dude. You think he's fallen off that much, huh? And where do you have Grazer? He's at 23.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, like I said with Tahana Rock, you know, the game, the power creep is so crazy, and the new content coming out is so targeted where you need such good roles that some of those just general champions where it's like, oh, he's good everywhere. Those champions aren't what they used to be. You can't just put Krisk in every team and use him in PvP and just do everything with him like you could 2.5 years ago. So I feel like that drops him. You kind of move towards needing a specific niche, unless it's somebody like a Siffy or a Duchess that is more viable in PvP. Like, I think 2 years ago you saw Krisk in PvP. I don't remember the last time I faced a Krisk in PvP anywhere.
No.
Yeah, so he's one of those champions that is still amazing, and you know, a new account pulls a Krisk, you're going to be jumping out of your chair, but eventually you'll get to a point where like other people specialize a little better than he does.
Yeah, and Lady Mikage we spoke about, but like, and I talked about Lana Thero and Kirilla and Lanicus. Like, I talked about this on your video. You guys can listen to that one too. But like, I think that I inherently tremendously value ally attackers, like more than ever. Fat Man, Farrakhan the Fat, I'd put like high as well for an epic. Only because, and again, I don't want to repeat all the same stuff, but only because the A1s in this game just keep getting so much ridiculously better that every ally attacker thus also gets so much better along with them. Some of the A1s that they have on even some of these mythicals, just like I was running Lady Mikage and Lana Therial yesterday in a Cursed City, and it's just like, dude, it's insane how much value I can get out of an ally attack now. So thus I would have all ally attackers higher. Lady Mikage I called you out on. I have her as like a top 20 champion in the game. But you brought up a very good point, is like, how would you feel about a Lady Mikage pull, knowing that she's a permanent fusion in the game? I want to take that conversation a step further. I haven't seen Arbiter. Where's Arbiter?
Yeah, and similar to Lady Mikage, in a dopamine index.
Yeah. Is she not on the list at all, though?
You'd be kind of bummed. Like if your second Void Legendary was Arbiter, you'd be like, really? I'm about to get her in 20 days. Like,
dude, I totally hear you.
Yes, again, in a vacuum, she's a top 100 champion. But in terms of like a dopamine, like you pull a Void Legendary, I feel like it'd be a bummer for most people to be like, oh, I got Arbiter. I'm just about to get her.
I totally hear you. But like, maybe I'm just splitting hairs here and going against the spirit of the list, right? But like, I would definitely rather an Arbiter, even knowing that I'm gonna get a free one, than, you know, whatever, whatever. I'm trying to pick like any random epic basically that's on the list, right? Like a Cryodin in the blue or something like that, you know? Just because it's Arbiter, she's like, I mean, Empower, or you just. I hear you though. Like I said, you don't want to get a freaking Rosin, you know, on your first legendary. You know, that would be a big bummer. How do you guys feel, viewers? How do you feel about getting an Arbiter or something? Like, how would you get excited, or would you be bummed out on that? Because I'm very curious on how people like. Are you excited to Empower, or are you like, I don't care, you know, like, or would you build two or what? Lady Mikage though, that's where we've going back to the ally attack point that I made earlier. This is where we diverge a bit. So I have her in top 20. I might penalize her a little bit, but like, dude, I only have not only, but I have 3 mythicals, right? And 2 of them are dupe Lady Mikages. I pulled and I fused Lady Mikage, you know? So I've actually gone through it, and I built 2 because I think she's that good. And I don't really regret it, you know? That being said, though, to your point, there's so many other mythicals that I could pull too. So if I had a redo, as long as I don't get Siegfried or something like that, man, I'd be good. Nothing against Siegfried. He's actually a lot better with his more damage. But anyway, there's Siegfried at number 62. Yeah, I still have him lower though.
Come on, Pat. You gotta help me out here. I'm talking with a guy who says he only has 3 mythicals. Okay, this is what I'm dealing with here.
Well, the context is the context. I was excited when I got her, but I don't think though Siegfried I would put lower, because I really actually rather have like a I'm such a hater, dude. I just hate the secret skill mythical, you know? I don't know. I know a lot of people disagree with me on him, but I would personally rather have basically everybody under him, you know, like it just for the most part. What about you? Do you?
Well, if you see, he has the trend arrow up. Like he wasn't even on the list. But Plarium has shown that they're adjusting him and they're going to be willing to kind of make him work. So I did move him up a little bit because he's at least kind of getting that love. But no, your point is valid for sure.
Yeah, like adjust him in the wrong way. Way to go, Plarium. Way to go, you know? You know, I think overall, dude, I really commend you for putting this list together, dude. I think it's really fun to talk about these combos and champions and who you would be excited about, who you wouldn't be excited about. Is there one champion here on the entire list? My final question for you, that it might not be, you know, the top in the entire game or whatnot, but like who... Do you have like a crush on any champion in this game, man? Is there any one champion that you're like, it's hard not to put that champion higher because of how much I love that one particular champion?
I mean, it hurts me to see my boy Battle Khazar. You know.
Yeah, right. 84.
Yeah. For Battle Khazar to be at 84, you know, me as an old school raid player from 2019, the early days, I based my channel art on Battle Khazar, and I always thought he was the coolest champion in the game. And he used to be like a consensus top 15 champion. But the power creep, you know, poisons and heals just doesn't get it done anymore.
Do you have Eleanor on the list, or is she a snub?
Who?
Eleanor?
Not quite. She'd be close. She'd be, 120, 140 range.
Okay, that's another one then. That's another one that I would that, you know what? I hate to save it for the end of the video, bro, but I think she'd probably be my biggest snub on your list personally.
I thought Lona Farrell was. I thought Lona Farrell.
Well, I mean, they're both not on the list, and I both would put them high on the list. So I'm not sure who would be higher, but I think that Eleanor Rill is so good. And for the same reason that you have Seer ranked at 32 on the list. And I think that similar to Seer, not quite as easy to pull off, but similar to Seer, a poison combustor, especially Eleanor Rill, it just unlocks so much time savings, right, in the history of your account, speed running, everything like that.
Would you want Xavia on there too?
I think that Eleanor Rill, personally, I think she's better than Xavia for two reasons. One is because she doesn't have the damage penalty, and two, because she has the HP, the irresistible, the 100% HP burn on the A1. I think that's so underrated and valuable in her kit.
It comes in handy versus the Doom Tower boss too.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's some areas that Xavia is probably preferable, like Ice Golem maybe, to kill and deny revival on the guards or whatever. But I'm an Eleanor guy all the way, so I would probably not have Xavia super high on my list, but I would have Eleanor. So I guess Lana Farrell and Eleanor are my two biggest snubs on the list. But either way, I think again, like you said at the top of this video, dude, these topics and these videos, they're impossible to make, but they're so much fun to talk about. And I commend you. First of all, I'm thrilled that you're back in the game. You'll be back to daily uploading, and you guys should all check out Chosen if you're unfamiliar with this channel and this content. But you're all familiar with Chosen, right? But I commend you putting this together, man. I had a great time chatting with you about it.
Yeah, man, it's always fun to stop by and do a collab with you. So thanks for giving me your perspective. I will definitely keep it in mind, and I plan on probably updating this once a month or so as Plarium releases new champions and as things get buffed and changed and the meta shifts, and I get more perspective from you and other people in the community and other creators and stuff. I'll try to keep it up to date.
Sounds great, man. We'll be looking forward to any updates that you put out on this list as well. Thanks again for coming on, dude.
Cool. Thanks, Ash. Take it easy.
All right, guys, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. And as always, take care, guys.